What are your strengths? I would say I'm a futuristic person. I look into the future. I'm adaptable. I feel connected and I like to connect other people. I maximize the use of my energy and don't waste it. And I'm strategic. These are my 5 strengths. But when we work with teams, we identify everybody's strengths and then we create teams that complement each other's strengths. So when you have teams that complement each other's strengths, where everybody expresses their unique strength, you have powerful leadership. At Gallup, we also found out that if the people you work with, so if your manager, for example, your immediate superior, if he or she ignores you, your rate of disengagement goes up by 45%. 20% of the US workforce is not only disengaged, they're actively disengaged, which means they come to work unhappy and with the express purpose of making other people unhappy. Okay? That's 20%. There's another 45% that are disengaged. They come to work because they have to make a living. They punch in and they punch out. But they're not interested in what they're doing. Between the disengaged and the actively disengaged, the cost to the US economy is about $380 billion a year. If your supervisor or manager doesn't ignore you but criticizes you, your disengagement actually falls to 20%, which means your performance improves because you would rather be criticized than ignored. You don't exist when you're ignored. Now you're being criticized, you at least exist. On the other hand, if you're using your strengths and somebody acknowledges your strengths and notices your strengths and compliments your strength, your disengagement falls to less than 1%. So this has huge economic implications. Our career well-being. In the United States, more people die on Monday morning at 9 o'clock than any other time of heart attacks. This is an extraordinary accomplishment for which only the human species can take credit. There's no other animal that knows the difference between Monday and Tuesday. Okay? And so, career well-being is dependent on very simple things. Are you using your strengths? Do you have friends that you work with? Are you playful? Do you have a good time? Do you have self-esteem? And then, this career well-being is linked to social well-being. We found at Gallup, not making up this data, if you have a happy friend, your happiness goes up by 15%. If your happy friend has a happy friend whom you don't know, it goes up by another 10%. If your happy friend's happy friend has a happy friend whom you don't know, it goes up another 10%. So, why is this? It's because consciousness is a field. It's a field, just like electricity is a field. Werner Heisenberg, one of the original developers of quantum physics, he said consciousness is a singular that has no plural. Just like the same electricity is coming through my BlackBerry and through your computer and through this light, a single consciousness is expressing itself through all the diversity of living organisms. And that's why when we want to connect, we feel love and compassion are the highest truths. We feel happy. So Google, the perfect place to create networks of global happiness, where people actually know how to make each other happy. And there's a lot of research on that. Again, from Gallup, you are happy when you find a creative solution, when you find meaning and purpose, when you make somebody else happy, when instead of a problem, you see an opportunity. So, we know all the science, the statistics behind it, and how happiness actually brings on neurochemistry of immunomodulation, your immune system, your endocrine system, your thoughts, your feelings, and your biology as an integrated network of energy and information, and your mind as that process. Your mind is a process that regulates the flow of energy and information, not only in your body, but in your relationships. So mind is an embodied and relational process that regulates the flow of energy and information. And now the mind is entangled, because of the internet, because of technology, because of Google, we have an entangled mind. What's happening in Egypt is affecting us, and what's happening here is affecting people in Afghanistan. It's entangled both in space and in time, because through culture and through history and through religion and mythology, our mind is entangled with the past. It's entangled with the future. It's entangled with each other. when we begin to understand entanglement and the power of entanglement, we have the means to use technology for creative problem solving. Right now, if I were to say there are 4 problems in the world that really need to be addressed immediately, one is conflict, war, terrorism. The second is ecology, devastated ecology. The third is radical poverty, where you live in a world where 50% of people live on less than $2 a day, 20% on less than $1 a day. You can never have social justice and peace unless we address this. And the interesting thing is, we have the collective creativity, the collective intelligence to actually solve these problems. To me, technology now is the solution, combined with a higher consciousness that feels connected and responsible. Because action without love is meaningless, and love without action is totally irrelevant. But when you combine the two and you use technology and the understanding of entanglement, there's no problem that we cannot solve. And technology is also unstoppable. If you are following the growth of technology, you'll know that the capacity of technology is doubling every year. The internet became commercially available in 1995. We are in 2010, 15 years, and see where we are. I can go on a computer with my little gadgets and see how my friends across the world, how they're sleeping, how well they're sleeping, how well they're rested, what their cardiovascular system is, what their brain waves are doing, and we help each other to grow, to evolve, to heal, to self-regulate. And all the data shows that when we come together to do these things, we are enormously successful because we are empowering each other. We take responsibility then for calculated risks, taking initiative and solving problems and doing it playfully and creatively. And finally, we understand synchronicity. One of the persons to talk about synchronicity, when you examine the lives of great leaders, he said, tell me, how did you become so successful? And this work has been done by Porras and Collins and by others. Almost everybody says, I was lucky. Or they say, I happened to be in the right place at the right time. Or they say, if they're religious, they say, God was on my side. Or it seemed a state of grace. Or it was many coincidences. Well, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, and Wolfgang Pauli, the pioneer in quantum physics, they actually talked about synchronicity as a fundamental property in the universe, where at the most transcendent level, everything is happening all at once. There's no linearity in the universe. How does a human body, which has 100 trillion cells, each of them doing 100,000 activities per second, keep track of every other cell instantly? How does a human body think thoughts, play a piano, kill germs, remove toxins, make a baby? Instantly, all at the same time. These are mysteries that are yet to be solved. But I think we are moving to an era where we are going to understand non-local intelligence, transcendent intelligence, soul or spirit as the primary activity of the universe that operates synchronistically. And when you extend your boundaries, when you take away your labels, if you take away every label you've given yourself, then you are an infinite consciousness. You're a field of possibilities. And you start to see the environment as an extension of yourself. This environment is very good, actually. It feels very good because you can see it's an extension of your collective psyche and your collective consciousness. So that, in a nutshell, is the basics of what I think the future of leadership should be. That consciously we should create and rewire our nervous system so that through what is called long-term potentiation, we keep firing the neurons to wire the neurons to actually make leadership second nature to us. But true leadership, where we unfold our potential, we unfold the potential of others for greatness, and we use the principles of higher consciousness to heal ourselves and to heal the world. And no one is in a better position than you guys, because you're really laying down the neural networks of the planetary mind that is evolving right now. The planetary mind is evolving. and boundaries are breaking, whether they are national boundaries or ethnic boundaries or religious boundaries, they're going to break. It's unstoppable. And this is the divine manifesting through us as our technologies, a planetary mind. Thank you very much. Sure, we have about 10 minutes. So.
There's a microphone at the back. If you can step up to the microphone, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you for coming. I have a question. As I'm listening to you today, I'm bringing that to some of the events that I see going on in the world, and some of those are very hopeful. Obviously, what just happened in Egypt and what's happening through Middle East is a great example where this is coming together. But then as I think more locally to our nation and our leadership, I really see that going in a very bad direction, and the use of propaganda and technology and just poor leadership. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
If you remember what I said in the beginning, the leader represents the collective consciousness, then we can't blame the leader. We are the creators of the leaders. So, you know, in Mahatma Gandhi's words, can you be the change you want to see in the world? And, you know, I am a very careful observer of what's happening in political leadership in Washington. For every congressman, there are 28 lobbyists. Just for health care, there are 14 lobbyists for every congressman. Special interest groups, military industrial complex, pharmaceutical companies, manufacturers of equipment. But I can tell you what's going to happen is, because of the new technologies, in a way the democratization of media is happening. The media right now is totally controlled by special interest groups. But as we begin to create our own media and democratize media, as we have television networks on the internet, if people create their own content, and if the content is good, reaches critical mass, you'll see a turn, but it'll take a while. It takes a generation to do this.
So I agree with you. Would you say we're kind of right now headed in the wrong direction and it'll turn around? Or do you actually just disagree with me and you think...
No, I think there's a lot of creativity at work, and as the creativity unleashes itself, the darkness also tries to keep up with it. And there's a time of what we call phase transition. You know, water comes to steam, that's a transition. There's a lot of boiling in the cauldron.
Well, thank you for your work. You're a positive force.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. You know, here it is a great place, and I know we all very much enjoy working here, but at the same time, we're all extremely busy, and I think we often have very little time to even reflect on what consciousness is, or even attend talks like this. And I think most of us start early in the morning, run around to meetings all day, write code, and late at night, we're still thinking about our job and creating all this, you know, goodness that we're doing here. But what's your advice for us to kind of sometimes break out of that mold, you know, smell the roses, as you said?
I would say, and I can give you data to prove this, by the way, that from Gallup, where we gather this kind of data, that in an environment like this, which is very ambitious, but also very creative, take time to play during the day. You know, find time to get together, to be playful, to speak to each other, to exercise, to reflect, to meditate. Doesn't it take that much? Take a 20-minute break. Make it part of your policy. From what I know in Google, you guys participate in a lot of decision making, and you should do that. You should, you know, get together as groups and create some rituals. Rituals of playfulness, rituals of reflection, rituals of exercise, rituals of mind-body stuff, whether it's Tai Chi or yoga or breathing techniques, and your productivity will go up. I mean, there's no question that productivity goes up. According to Gallup, we should be socializing 6 hours every day. And that includes at work, which means purposeless activity, playful activity.
But if you actually look at probably all of our calendars, they're just completely full all the time.
Change it.